There is a lot of people who do have that in them, but I think the majority of the people like people as they are. And if you're educated...
You mean you like your kind, you mean?
No, 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 no. All kinds of people. It doesn't have to be your kind, because
So
I can look at a person...
you have any of it? This thing we call racism?
No, because I live in Colonia, and we have a whole development of black people, okay? And, well, wait, no, I went to school with them, okay? And I learned to deal with them. I think that if you learn to...
Them.
Well, we mixed as a group. In other words, we weren't different. We weren't treated different. We weren't treated different, so we were all one kind of person.
Hold your thought. You hang on a minute. Go on. What's the matter? What?
This study that was done in 69 and 70, I'd like to know what you've done lately to erase and eradicate racism and to improve
How do you
situations.
feel about what she's saying?
I don't care for it at all.
I want to just say that I feel I am a racist, but every black that calls Whitey a Whitey is also a racist. And I...
Wait a minute. Let me answer that. You see, within a family, people might call each other names. But when we come to the white people on the planet, the majority having organized themselves for white genetic survival, then when a white person can determine what is going to happen to a person of color, that is a difference, because then we're talking about a system of power that can say you can or you can't, or if I want to go back to Germany, because people do a lot of talking about the Holocaust. When the Semites were told, put on this yellow star because you're not white, and you can't go to the university, and you have to live in the ghetto, and you are going to be removed from your homes, that is power. It's not just a question of somebody saying, I don't like John, I don't like Betty. When you have the power to make it impossible for people to live a constructive existence, then that's a difference.
But what we're trying to figure out is why we want that power to do that to another person in the first place. And you're saying white people do it to people of color because they feel, huh?
I think it's a matter of economics more than anything else. Well, and if you're a fair person, you're a fair person. And if this, I don't care who is my neighbor. If they can afford to be my neighbor, if they are the same economic ability that our family have, then they're fine. They're welcome to be my neighbor.
Oh,
and we'll be back. I'll give you a chance in just a moment.
Grocers freeze into your microwave. Warm and delicious in less than a minute. Come on, baby. Let's do the twist with Super Pretzel Soft Pretzels.
Nutrisystem has figured out why diets fail us. It's not because we're starved for food, it's because we're starved for flavor. And I'm betting my extra 45 pounds that they're right. I'm on my way. On the new Nutrisystem Flavor Set Point Weight Loss Program, I'm enjoying the flavorful foods I used to have to cheat to get. I'm amazed. I lost 45 pounds, and I didn't have to cheat.
Call today for your free NutriData computer analysis. We succeed where diets fail you.
I can't tell by feeling which cotton socks were washed in which fabric softener, which belonged to my husband and which belonged to some other guy. Which is which? But with my eyes open, I can see that this is whiter and this is brighter. It could only be Final Touch. It could only be Jack.
Whiter, brighter softness. Only Final Touch fabric softener.
Did anyone ever tell you that you have beautiful feet?
You know, we do study everything to death. Everything's studied. I mean, figure it out, we study it. Except racism, either whatever scholarship there may be about it, we seem to be running away from, or we're not attracting, our guest accepted, some of the big academics to this issue. You wanted to say.
I'd like to know why Jimmy the Greek had to be fired from CBS for his opinions about black. And she can come on national TV and give her opinions about white, and she's not going to get fired from her job. White people can't talk anymore. He got it, and then everybody congregates to make him fired. It's ridiculous. And now he has to go write apologies to all black.
Well, I was just going to, I don't think that you can equate what I'm saying to what he said. I mean, you might, and...
Blacks are moving away from their own...
See, I'm not, let me say this, that I'm not surprised that, you know, what I'm saying might upset people. Now, if you just look, all of the studies that people who say they're white do on black people, the black system, studying the black side and studying this, saying this about blacks and saying, I mean, the literature is just packed.
But from a behavioral standpoint, I do not think
We
it is.
have to have an explanation. See, the crest theory, that's one person's idea. I challenge everybody in the audience to write about white supremacy behavior. What is your idea about it? Put your idea out there so that you can explain this very considerable behavior on the planet.
I'm not sure you're going to get the majority of the white community to agree that the majority of the white community is engaging in it.
But wait a minute, let me say this. See, I'm not here complaining about what people who classify themselves as white. I made an analysis. I said that basically I see that people who classify themselves are trying to survive genetically. And I am not saying you cannot do that. But I am going to say what it is, and I really advocate that non-white people on the planet stop expecting for white people to commit genetic suicide.
We are almost done.
Doctor, are you aware that within your own culture you also have racism? In other words, my neighbors moved away from the blacks who were moving in next door to us, and so they wanted to move away in order to give their children a better education. I'm talking about Jersey City, where I am coming from.
And what's your point?
And my point is that you also have racism within your own culture.
What are you saying is the racism?
In other words, blacks do not want to live among blacks. They have their own social order. In other words, if my doctor next door to me is black and he prefers not to live among the culture that's moving in to my neighborhood, this happened. I'm evidence of it. It happened many years ago.
Well, are you saying that let's say if you address people of Irish descent, if they move because they have a higher income, are you saying they're conducting racism against their own people? I think that you're clouding the issue. I think that you're clouding the issue about black and white.
Over here, please. I want to give you more time, and someday I'll be a czar, and I'll have all the time I want. Yes.
Yes, I do believe that there is a such thing as racism among black people, but I believe it's in response to white racism. As opposed to, black people just want to go out and get white folks.
You jump on my bones enough, I'm sooner or later going to call you names. Or my kids are going to call you names.
It's self-preservation.
Yeah. Yes.
I believe there's racism everywhere, but I think it's more like you're not used to people, you hang out with your own group, and...
That's true, but why is that? Dr. Welsing is offering here a kind of anthropological theory of racism, which has to do with our fear of, that is to say, white people's fear of their diminishing numbers. We're afraid we'll become extinct. She goes one step further to say that intermarriage scares us because it takes our whiteness away. And if everybody were free without all these terrible prejudices and fears, then it certainly, common sense would allow us to conclude that at some point down the line, no whiteness, that is to say, as we think about it in the West, would be left. And she is saying that deep down in here, unconsciously, we're scared to death of that. And that's why we've got black neighborhoods and white neighborhoods.
I disagree. I think you're scared just because people are different, and if you got to know them, you wouldn't be so scared. I don't think it's because we're afraid of being white.
Just for the moment, putting aside theories, and the good doctor is only a theory, I don't accept it as fact, and generalities, and putting this thing on a one-to-one basis, I turned during the stop, I turned to this lady of color sitting next to me, and I said to her, I don't know about you, but I have never wanted to be black. I'm perfectly comfortable. I've had this white skin for 70 years, and I'm perfectly comfortable.
She agrees.
Wait a minute.
She agrees. That's not a jury.
I wouldn't know how to do it differently. And this lady said she felt the same way about the color of her skin. So,
I've never wanted to be white because I've always been happy with my color.
But you haven't denied her thesis.
Oh, I'm not.
She is saying that you don't want to be black. She knows that. And she's saying something else. She's saying that your interest in not being black is resting somewhere way down in your soul, and it's causing some of us to be scared to death that we might be.
You want to know something, Phil? I never even thought about what this lady brought out today, and having heard
That's what you call subconscious thinking.
And having heard it, to the little bit that I've thought about it, I must say that I totally disagree with her, although she, she has a background and I don't.
Okay. All right. Yes. If you're a man, you get to talk.
With all this talk, with all that's been going on, and everything that's been said, I haven't heard one person make mention, especially you, Doctor, about the transition that's been taking place over the past 25 years. Of 20 years ago, who ever heard of a black mayor in the city of Montgomery, Alabama? I have a business in Patterson, New Jersey. Joe Clark, the principal.
Yeah.
Well, Joe Clark, he's doing a fantastic job. He's black. What about all these other things that are happening?
Good things happen.
Everything that's going on in television today. When did you see a Bill Cosby show become such a big thing on television? He's black.
Wait a minute. I get you. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
First of all, I'd like to commend you on your work. I think it's incredible. And also, I'd like to know how you feel about the recent Newsweek article that came out last week.
We're all women. That women...
Wait, Jill, just hold on. That addresses the basic assumption that we all are from a common ancestor, meaning we all as humans. And Newsweek revealed that this common ancestor was, in fact, a black woman from sub-Saharan Africa. I'd like to know your comment on that, as well as, do you think that this kind of research, which has clearly been substantiated, really will reach a plateau of exposure? Because I don't think white America is ready to accept the fact that they are indeed genetically descended from a black woman.
Well, I have said that for a long time, that the simplest explanation about the arrival of the different colors on the planet is that you start with black. And from black, if black produces a condition of albinism, then you have white. And then if you mix the two, you get all the colors in the middle. Now, white cannot produce black, but black can produce all of the colors on the planet. So I say, since the paleontologists and anthropologists are saying human life began in Africa and the first ancestors for everybody were black. Now, the very fact that people have trouble with that, you see, says something about the psyche, about what people, after white supremacy has been established, what people end up feeling about color.
I think it's very unusual that a psychiatrist would give a biological reason for racism, because I really feel like racism comes from psychology. And if we took, as you said, all of the genetic pool and mixed it together and did come out with a one world color, I still think people would be racist. They'd find something else to come up with.
Wait a minute.
Make people superior to other
I am a medical doctor, and a medical doctor has to include the whole body as well as the functioning of the brain that produces the end product of behavior. Now, people, indeed, and I have said, people could have, one of the things that led me to this paper, I said, now, people could have done foot size. You know, I wear 10B, so everybody who has 10B, but people didn't focus on foot size. If they did focus on foot size, some psychiatrists or behavioral scientists would have to come along and raise the critical question, why? But people settled on color. And so as a behavioral scientist, I just put the question in my brain computer and said, why? Why did they settle on color, and what is the significance of color? And let me just throw this out. A few weeks from now is going to be Valentine's Day. And what are the ladies going to want? Chocolate candy.
Beginning to sound a little paranoid to me, you know.
Yeah. Why? Let me ask you this. I'll tell you, you know who asked this question on my show?
Why do white people say chocolate is erotic?
Why is chocolate cake devil's food cake and white cake is angel food cake? Muhammad Ali asked that question on this program. And we'll be back in just a moment.
Aiken's here for Super Polygrip. Hey, if you wear dentures, I'll bet you know the pain of getting food stuck between your dentures and gums. Like these darn seeds. Ouch! Let me tell you about Super Polygrip. Watch. You see how it forms this seal between your dentures and gums? That's why Super Polygrip helps keep food out, dentures in. Simple. If you like to eat like I do. Remember, Super Polygrip keeps food out, dentures in.
You win most legal cases in the law library through long hours of research and preparation. But you can't win them all here. You need a lawyer who knows his way around in the courtroom. And as a former assistant state's attorney, I do. Workers' compensation, auto accidents, drunk driving arrest. Call me, Steve Miles, at 685-8444 for your free legal brochure. That's 685-8444. Convenient locations and free consultation. Let's talk about it.
Hers is a microchip, a diamond chip, a sportsman chip. Hers is a cord chip, so make hers yours.
Hers potato chips are always fresh, crisp, and delicious. So make hers yours.
Hers is a companion chip, a leader chip, a scholar chip. Hers is a friendship, so make hers yours.
The Japanese love tradition, so today the family's off for an afternoon of fun. And like in America, no game is complete without, yes, you've guessed it, the delicious ballpark snack, Nissin's Cup of Noodles. It's an original recipe of noodles, oriental spices, meat, and vegetables that just can't miss. Add boiling water, and hot dog, you'll have a snack that's fast becoming an American tradition, like baseball. Use your noodle and try Cup of Noodles from Nissin.
This is a Channel 2 News update.
Good morning, I'm Beverly Burke. Coming up today on Channel 2 News at noon, we're going to take a look at a type of plastic surgery that's in demand these days, fat removal. It's called liposuction. Is it an easy way to a slim new you or a risky surgical procedure? We'll take a look at that question in our health segment. We'll also have the latest news and your weather. And Mr. Food helps us find super sweet summer corn in winter. All that and more today at noon.
What? Yeah.
Assuming for a moment that your theory is correct, what steps do you recommend to eradicate racism?
Well, I would like the people who classify themselves as white to really get in love with their own color and the fact of the reality that... Wait a minute.
They're angry that you suggest they aren't.
Well, wait a minute. You see, the proof of behavior is in what you do, not always what you say. But if not that, I advocate that people, black people, non-white people, begin to look at it like a chessboard and understand that if people who classify themselves as white are playing for white genetic survival, then they cannot do the things that black people expect them to do, like help across the board. And that black people are going to have to get accustomed to playing the black side of the chessboard. It's not about hate. Right. See, when you sit down to play chess, you don't hate your opponent. You just know that the white side of the chessboard that always moves first, you see, is playing offense, defense, and the black side has to play defense, offense. And that the anticipation is that the white king is going to be trying to what? Checkmate the black king.
Excuse me. Let me just get a couple of other of your observations. First of all, William Raspberry had, I thought, a very insightful article about you. Talked about lap time. That's a big thing with you. Yeah. Children who are babies, infants, who don't get the, hi, we're glad you're here, tactile kind of. Yeah. You told Essence magazine, among other things, we cannot wage struggle if the people are weak. You're talking about blacks now. No black female should have children before the age of 30, and no black man should become a father before the age of 35. Mm-hmm. Before child rearing, we should be going to school, going to the library, educating ourselves. We must create mature, mentally developed parents. Then we will be able to produce children with self-respect and a high level of functioning pattern. Now, wait a minute. Before this white audience gets too goo-goo gaga over this, the point ought to be made that wouldn't be bad advice for not a few young white folks to keep in mind.
Let me say this, Phil. Wait a minute. Phil,
adequately spacing the children builds a whole-centered child who has gotten special attention. You do not... A family should consist of no more than 2 children, no closer than 3 years apart. The 3 years give you a chance to...
No, please, let me just say this. that I'm talking about all of the horrendous problems. If you advocate, everybody in here white, read the Urban League report about what is happening to black families, okay? So I'm trying to help black families that are in the midst of the white supremacy dynamic get off of the dependency kick, because I don't see the white supremacy changing. But if black people understand that and follow those regulations that I have set up, you see, no children till 30, no father until 35, no more than 2, so that people can actually take care of their own children.
Okay. Are you there, caller? I'm glad you waited. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm a white female engaged to a black man, and anybody out there who says that there is no prejudice in this country is wrong, because I deal with it every day. I personally get called names. I get called nigger lover, all kinds of things, just by stepping out of the house with my fiance.
And your point is?
My point, what I'm trying to say is, everybody that I talk to that is black, every one of my fiance's friends, tell me they don't have anything against me. They don't have anything against any white person that is nice to them. I have never talked to a black person or anybody of any other race, really, that has ever said, I hate whites. I hate whites. I don't get prejudiced. I don't get, discriminated against by his black friends, but I get discriminated against by other white people, and he gets discriminated. I'll tell you, black people in this country have more respect from me than anybody in this whole entire country, because I know what they deal with. A white person, unless you are dating or are closely involved with a black person, don't have any idea what black people go through in this country. They have no idea what it's like.
I thank you for your contribution. You will forgive me for taking leave, and we wish you and your fiancé a long and happy life. I am glad you called. Thanks. Hi, I'm glad you called, too. Go ahead.
Yes, Dr. Welsing and Mr. Donahue, I am a black medical student from Massachusetts, and I was a little put off by Dr. Welsing's comment that it seems as if white supremacy is going to take over our life and so forth. But what has happened to me is I have taken control of my own life. I've always grown up in a middle-class society. I've never been in the ghetto. And I don't have any problems relating to other black people or to white people. Right. But I realize that I am the one who's in charge of my life. Right. I make those decisions.
Do you believe race?
Nobody is going to... No, being black is not going to stop me from succeeding. And I haven't had any problems with white people telling me you can't succeed. So I don't think that being black is an excuse for anything. And I also, as a black person, I have never tried to be white, which was indicated earlier. Those are all the comments that I wanted to make.
Well, I'm not saying that, let me just say this, that, I'm sorry, the racism is there, and my grandfather was a physician, my father's a physician, I'm a physician. Black people can do many things in the presence of racism, but I don't think that we should deny that it's here.
And we'll be back in a moment.
I like everything that's involved in what I do as a singer. It's the process, the doing it. That's what you're in love with. That's what you fall in love with. You know, it's not reaching point B. It's going to point B. You know, that's what the journey's all about.
I'm here to talk about something I normally wouldn't. Dog food. Hey, do you mind? Specifically new Grand Gourmet. Grand Gourmet is dog food that looks like people food. See for yourself. No, not you. Beefy strips, savory sauce. You know, I tell you, this looks a lot better than what I had for dinner last night.
Go ahead, don't be bashful. You want a beverage?
New Grand Gourmet.
Hey, what do you say we go bowling after this?
You can tell Edgar Hoffman comes from a long line of particular people. His granddaddy was particular. His daddy was particularly particular. And in Edgar's case, all that particularity finally paid off. You see, Edgar works for Weaver Chicken, checking the quality on every Weaver product over 200 times, like these Weaver chicken breast tenders.
So how you like them?
Edgar? They're particularly good.
People wonder why I drink so much milk. Simple. It gives me the energy to run all those fast breaks. All all those jumpers. Not to mention going one-on-one. I've got to drink milk if I'm going to be in good enough shape to pull off moves like that. Of course, there's one other reason why I drink milk. Winning.
Whole, low-fat, or skim. Milk. It's fitness you can drink.
Yes, ma'am.
There's a lot of validity to your comments on integration, but I think you lose me and a lot of white people when you bring up billiard balls, chocolates, and I want roses.
I think it's dangerous to only address white discrimination and white prejudice without also looking at black prejudice and black discrimination against white people.
I feel your report is somewhat outdated. I think people have changed a lot since 20 years ago.
Racism's kind of going away, is it?
Well, not totally, but somewhat, yes.
Yes.
Phil, I'd like to address my comment to this lady over here in the white who just said on national television that she's a racist. God help you, my dear, because more and more people in the world are going to start looking like me. People are going to have more color. If you don't learn to accept me for my beauty...
Yes, but if we don't learn to accept what may be there in ourselves, we can't fix it either.
I accept
So please
it,
don't
Phil.
punish her for her honesty.
Phil, what she said was a blatantly racist statement. The woman
corrected
admitted
it at herself.
that she is a racist. I take offense in that. Admit it. Racist.
They are. That's my opinion.
Well, that is the people that you are surrounded by, and
you are too.
You what?
I feel you are too, but you're just not admitting it.
Miss, I have absolutely no racism or anything towards you. I feel no remorse. I'm asking the good Lord to help you see my beauty and inner being.
Yeah.
I think New Yorkers are very open-minded.
Well, New Yorkers are.
Yes. I don't know any other.
Yeah. Briefly.
If my white neighbor does something to me to dislike them, I'm not called prejudiced, but if my black neighbor does the same thing to me, they're standing there going prejudiced.
I was also offended by the old lady saying that she was a racist. But I feel that we cannot go forward as a society unless we love one another, unless we get along.
Yes. And we can't go forward unless racism is a lot like cancer. You don't always know you have it. And discovering that it might be there, I don't want to make this about this woman, but if you're going to punish this woman's honesty, then we're going to get nowhere.
But she did offend me, and I'm sure she offended a lot of other people.
Yeah.
I don't think that it's racist. I don't think that anyone is being racist here. I think that the problem is that... Oh, God.
Over here, George, yes.
I think that they're making too much of a problem out of racist. I think that if I had a white neighbor who was low class, not up to the standards where we'd be just as angry.
Yeah, what?
I just had a little problem with her earlier comments about Mr. White living next door to Mr. Black and exchanging salutations in the morning. I think,
I'm the world's biggest skeptic. I was at my sister's house for the weekend, and I'm the first one up. And I'm dying for a cup of coffee, and she's out of milk. All I can find is Coffee Mate. I'm skeptical, but without my morning coffee, I don't function. Turns out I had one of the best cups of coffee ever. Rich and creamy. So good, in fact, that by the time my sister woke up, I was on my third cup.
Coffee Mate from Carnation. Don't doubt it. Try it.
I just made a great move. I used to listen to 104, but it was always the same songs over and over. Or the oldie station, but it's so old. Then I moved up the dial to Mix 106.5. Now I get variety. The Supremes, Elton John, Billy Joel, Lionel Richie.
WMIX Mix 106.5, Baltimore's best mix of the 60s, 70s, and 80s.
That's why I moved up the dial.
There's a hospital near you that's in the forefront of high-technology health care. One of only 3 in Greater Baltimore that can perform life-saving open-heart surgery. With cardiac care so advanced, we can actually avert some heart attacks without resorting to surgery. A hospital recognized as a leader in the treatment of digestive disorders. A hospital dedicated to the ideal that at the heart of good health is the personal touch. St. Joseph Hospital.
Hey, for eyes, you must have been to Sterling for those wise eyes, 'cause you're looking like a million and you ain't no millionaire.
I was worried about my eyesight, so I had my eyes examined by the professionals at Sterling Optical. All it took was a new prescription to put my mind at ease.
Hey, wise eyes, you always know the smartest thing to do. Sterling's for those wise eyes like you.
Quiche. Country.
France.
I love the charm of country French furniture.
You do?
Or the splendor of a Georgian court.
Sounds great.
But we'd probably be happier with something contemporary but elegant, like Canova.
You're either hinting for a trip around the world.
Or a trip to Ethan Allen.
A world of styles, each uniquely American. Now on sale at Ethan Allen.
Dr. Francis Welsing, yes.
Before, you said that white people wear makeup to bring out their color. Then how come you're wearing makeup? Because you don't like your color?
They saw her, but
Are you wearing makeup?
Yes, I have makeup on, but I think that you do have to acknowledge that the whole sun tanning industry and the makeup is because it is white people who are saying that they don't like their color. In Africa, people had all different color, you know, makeup on.
Over here.
You see, but they were not saying they didn't like black.
Over here, doctor.
Excuse me, earlier in the show, when Phil said, is there racism, the audience was very quiet, and he said, come on, we know it's there. When the woman gets up and admits that she's a racist, so you're damned if you do.
Provided and promotional fees paid by the client.
How well does your car stand up to heavy traffic?
In his car, the suspect uses his gun to force one of two men near a pickup to drive him away. Crouching down, the suspect is virtually unnoticed by a passing police car. And by now, the news chopper pilot decides to force the issue and forces the pickup to halt in a shopping center parking lot. A gun battle ensued, and the suspect is shot dead.
In other news, the Federal Aviation Administration is investigating